Hello to my accelerant funnels, beatbot boys, and speedy Gonzalez. My name is Bricky if you're feeling fancy, and welcome to the second guide to Apex Legends, where we go over each individual legend, their lore, the kit, and the nitty-gritty details so you don't have to. Today in our second episode, we will be discussing Wraith, aka the Hitbox Avoider. On the lore side of things, Wraith is a big mystery. She woke up in an IMC detention facility for the mentally ill with no memory of who she was or where she came from. She also started hearing a bunch of weird voices in her head, originally keeping her up at night. She now begins to trust them and help her in situations. Now she's in the games to fight and figure out more about herself and hopefully just get some answers. Now, as a huge Titanfall fanboy, there are a lot of interesting things here. The first thing is that her abilities are similar to something called a phase shift, an ability used in Titanfall 2 that sent the player to a second dimension for a short period of time. It acted almost exactly like Wraith's ability. However, none of the phase shifting pilots in Titanfall were human. They were all robots who had undertaken the simulacrum procedure, aka transferring a human mind into a robot. Basically, they were human pilots, took their consciousness, put it into a robot, so they still act like regular old humans, but they're just in a robot body. That said, Wraith also has a special logo on her shirt. This is a pilot logo, at least I'm pretty sure. It can be seen on other pilots' uniforms, but not all uniforms. Therefore, the assumption is that Wraith is an ex-pilot, who either was in the process of putting her mind into a robot via the simulacrum, or she was an experiment to try to make the first ever human phase-shifting pilot. On the other hand, she did break out of an IMC facility, and it is possible she simply stole some pilot's garb on the way, considering her skills aren't near the skill level of a pilot. Or she was a pilot and the procedure made her lose all of her training and she has to start from scratch. Because let's remind ourselves, Bangalore is an IMC grunt, a grunt. We eat those for breakfast as pilots. They are laughable point modifiers. So either memory loss or she yanked some garb, because nobody in the Apex Legends game is nearly as powerful as a pilot. There's a lot of theories to be had here, but it's still kind of fun to speculate. So let us talk about the Hitbox Queen's kit. Her passive is called Voices from the Void. When danger is nearby, a voice in her head will tell her that something is up and will warn her about various things. These things include enemies being nearby, traps being placed, or somebody's aiming at you. I'm sure there are a couple other things it does as well, but these are the main ones you'll be hearing about the most. Her Q is Into the Void. After a short channel, Wraith relocates herself to void space. During this time, she moves slightly faster and cannot be damaged by anything. However, she leaves behind a bright blue trail where she is going and has a slight cool-off time when she comes out of it as well. Finally, her ultimate is Dimensional Rift. You begin a channel, leaving you unable to fire your weapons, but giving you a massive boost of movement speed, as well as leaving behind the entry portal for the location. Then at any time, you can break the channel or have it break for you by creating an exit portal where you end at it. This portal persists for 60 seconds and will allow other players, friend or foe, to travel between them, exit or entrance. Also, of course, we like to discuss hitbox sizes when it comes to kits, and we all know what Wraith is like. Wraith is easily the smallest legend of the game, and an extremely awkward hitbox to strike due to her strange animations in terms of running, firing, and everything in between. This makes her extremely difficult to fight during a gunfight because of her insane thinness, the weird way she holds her gun, slides, and so on, and just makes her easily the tiniest legend and a fan favorite for those who want to make it harder for opponents to hit her. Alright, now that Hitbox Bitch's kit's done, let's break down the kit. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Voices from the Void is okay. It's a neat idea of a passive, but I and many other players have really only seen it useful at one point in time. That's when we're about to be sniped. I think the only time Wraith has ever said something legitimately useful to me is when I'm about to take a Kraber shot to the dome, or when I enter bunker and there are caustic traps. Besides those two times, everything she ever says is either extremely obvious or something I already know about while it's happening. She'll shout, "Somebody's aiming at you," literally while I'm dueling someone else with a wingman. Like, yes, Wraith, there is somebody aiming at me. You're incredibly observant, thank you. The hard part about this ability is that buffing it seems weird too. Giving players get out of jail free cards in terms of information is always a terrible idea in a game like this, especially. So I'd be satisfied if it just didn't change, because it would be a nightmare to balance. That being said, it's not like a bunch of people snipe you anyway, so it's really kind of an unused ability, but I guess it's nice on occasion. As for her tactical Into the Void, this ability is extremely strong with what you can do with it. Invulnerability at the press of a slightly delayed button will never be scoffed at thanks to its extreme power at negating damage. The thing though is that I see people use this ability more to get behind cover, run from sniper shots, or just go faster in a certain area. And if I'm being honest, I've probably used this ability more often to just get someplace faster to loot quicker than I actually have in battle. And that's because it ain't super great during a hectic fight. The bright blue trail you leave isn't exactly subtle, and more often than not, people will just chase your trail straight to kill you when you're done. However, using it to escape damage, as if you're taking a bunch of damage out in the open and getting behind a rock or perhaps a building, or even something more fun like running up to grab a teammate's banner and then popping the ability, can give you some nice fun plays through a little bit of tactical use of it. It's a solid ability, though it does have a lot of counterplay, and I do like that. A lot of people have suggested allowing Wraith to be able to auto-end her ability. I have a big no-no on that. It's different for someone like Mirage, who literally can't do anything and can be shot during his ultimate, and his ultimate just being like the worst thing ever. For Wraith, complete utter invulnerability is an extremely powerful move in a game like this, and I think having that counterplay is extremely important, so keep the time frame, don't make it any different. As for her ultimate, the portals are some of the most outplay potential based abilities in the entire game. These portals are awesome, and nobody uses them right, but they're so awesome when they are used right. Getting solid sniper points on enemy players is one of the ways you can use them. Swapping between cover to give them issues, popping from one area, swapping to another when they're exposed, going back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Transporting people out of the zone, just moving fast in general is nice if you're getting shot at or you need to get your teammates somewhere that isn't in danger. Hell, there are some ideas that I've been using myself, like using them to save a down player that have been awesome. Down players can use the portal, so I pop it, run over to my friend, and then end the channel and let them ride it to safety. You can also use it to bait enemy players into taking your own portals, like running into an enemy team, popping the exit portal and running back in. Some of them might run back into the portal, and then you can put some caustic traps on the other side, or hell, just even have your enemy team there. Thermite grenades as well are very useful to give them a pretty rude surprise. One time I had a player put a portal down and have an octane jump pad launch them off the map on the other side. There's a ton of potential with these portals, and unfortunately, a lot of people just use it for the insane speed boost it gives you, which I kind of get. It's a pretty insanely powerful speed boost, and it is really nice to use that. I just kind of wish there was more people who saw the potential that they have and using it more accordingly. However, this is an amazing ultimate, one of, if not the best, in terms of tacticality. Tactical. So why should you play Wraith? Well, hitbox, mainly. You're at an innate advantage over enemy players in sheer gunfights. Apex Legends is a game of shooting, a first-person shooter first, ability game second. One-on-one gunfights are always king. That's why so many of the abilities only kind of alter fights but don't actually adjust anything. If you're curious why no legends have an innate health bonus or any abilities that increase their damage, that's why, because they have to keep that stuff constant. Every single gun does the same damage, every single character has the same health, and every single gun handles the exact same depending on the attachments and such. No particular person can use weapons better than others. That's why hitbox and speed are the best factors in this game, and why characters like Gibraltar have a hard time, while characters like Bangalore and Bloodhound are the best. As Wraith, you have an invul button, a ton of speed, and a tiny hitbox. While I personally don't even think Wraith has the greatest kit in the game compared to a Bloodhound or a Bangalore, she is one of the best legends if you're a solid FPS player. That's why all the top players use her, not because her kit's the best, but because she's about the size of 2 pixels in a draft of air. If you're good at shooting games, Wraith is good for you and will reward you in many, many situations. If you're just okay at shooting games, you're probably more fitted to play a Bloodhound or a Bangalore, but as Wraith, you just have an innate advantage, and that's why she's so damn good. Now with that, if you're curious what skin you should use, it's always the legendary pink one, or the cool exclusive gold one you get from it. All other opinions are wrong, and you can fight me on that. As for her finishers, she has 3. The Summit 1G Monitor Punch, the Mortal Kombat X-Ray, and the Portal Yeet. And with that, thank you for watching the second episode of my Apex Legend guide. If you liked it, please leave me a message in the comments below on who you would like to see next. Also, if you want to support me more, you can check out my merchandise site where I just added a new Warframe-based long sleeve shirt signed by one of their voice actors. It's pretty hot. Link in the description. Have a good one, Legends, and remember, Hitbox is king. Bye-bye.